Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with a strange feeling that someone is watching you? What if you opened your eyes and saw a figure by your bed that looked like a giant insect? No, this isn't the beginning of a horror movie. These are real stories told by people from all around the world. What if it's real? The question is simple yet terrifying. What if insect-like aliens aren't a fantasy, but reality? When we say alien, many people imagine a small grey being with large eyes. But there are others. Among the strangest are the insectoids, alien entities that resemble insects. They're often described as humanoid in shape, with features like those of a mantis, ant, or beetle. Tall up to 2.5 meters, with long arms, large black eyes, and a chitinous exoskeleton. Why are they appearing more often? Insectoids don't appear as frequently in popular culture as greys or reptilians, yet mentions of them are becoming more common. Why? And where did this strange type even come from? One of the earliest documented cases dates back to the 1960s. A young couple from the United States was driving along a highway at night when a bright light suddenly appeared in front of their car. Their memory went blank. They later found themselves at home with no idea how they got there. Strange dreams began to follow, first about injections, then about operations. Later, under hypnosis, they described beings with huge eyes, tentacle-like limbs, and bodies resembling those of insects. You might write it all off as imagination, but similar accounts began to repeat. In the 1990s, a man in Canada reported waking up in the middle of the night to a strange buzzing sound. There was a creature in the room. It looked like a praying mantis. It leaned over him, moving slowly, as if scanning him. He couldn't move. Then, a blank in his memory. A few years later, a woman in Japan told a remarkably similar story. She woke up and saw a being standing by her bed. It was looking at her, although it didn't have eyes in the usual sense, only large black bulging shapes on its face. Its body was thin, its limbs long, with joints that seemed insect-like. And there are dozens of such accounts. The locations range from the United States to Russia, from Brazil to Sweden. The witnesses are of all ages and genders. What's striking is that the descriptions match in precise detail. Here's what people most often report when they claim to have seen insectoids: height over 2 meters, a thin body without visible muscles, long arms and legs similar to those of a locust or praying mantis, a face without a mouth but with large black eyes, cold, emotionless behavior. Some claim they heard the creature's voice inside their mind, telepathy. Skeptics claim this is just sleep paralysis, a state between sleep and wakefulness when a person cannot move. The brain is still asleep while the body has already awakened. During this time, people often see strange figures, shadows, or beings. Sometimes even voices are heard, but proponents of another theory argue the descriptions are far too similar. Why do people from different countries who have never met describe encountering the exact same visitor? Sergeant at the military base in the early 2000s, a former officer from South America recounted how, during his service at a remote mountain base, his unit spotted a strange object in the sky. It didn't resemble any known aircraft. After it landed, several soldiers began experiencing hallucinations over the next few hours, and one fell into a coma. The officer himself saw a huge creature with an ant-like face standing at the edge of the camp. It was simply watching. After a few seconds, it vanished. Some theorists suggest that insectoids aren't simply extraterrestrials. Perhaps they've been here for a long time. Maybe they observe humans the way we watch ants. One hypothesis proposes that they aren't from outer space at all, but from parallel dimensions, like shadows living alongside us, but on a different level of perception. Psychologists say there's an explanation for all of it. The human brain craves images, When it can't make sense of something, it creates what we fear most. And what's more terrifying than a cold, emotionless creature without a face? But this raises a different question. Why an insect? Why not a ghost, an animal, or a human? Why do so many people see the exact same being? A well-known paranormal researcher, John M., once shared that he had spoken with dozens of people who claimed encounters with insectoids. He noted that in most cases, the witnesses felt uneasy afterward, but not afraid, more like they were being observed, not threatened. One of his sources even claimed to have regular contact with these beings. He described them as information collectors, as if they were studying human emotions, behavior, and responses. In part 1, we discussed strange beings resembling giant insects, reported by people around the world. These stories are puzzling, the descriptions are just too similar. People from different countries and cultures, who have never communicated with each other, describe the same kind of creature: long limbs, emotionless faces, and eyes like those of an insect. But if all this isn't imagination, then who are they? When we talk about aliens, we usually imagine beings from distant star systems, but insectoids are more complicated. Some researchers believe they aren't arriving here, they've always been nearby. Perhaps they come from a parallel dimension that exists alongside ours. Or, more disturbingly, maybe they already influence parts of our lives without us even noticing. There's a theory that insectoids don't just observe. They study human behavior and emotions, and may even take part in shaping our consciousness. In the 2000s, a well-known biologist from Arizona claimed he had seen the same creature near his home for 2 weeks in a row. He set up cameras, but the footage only showed strange distortions, as if the lens was breaking whenever the creature appeared. He described it as a humanoid figure covered in a chitinous shell, with arms resembling those of a praying mantis. A month later, he resigned from his job, stopped giving interviews, and reportedly moved out of town. Whether this was mere coincidence or something more, no one knows. It may sound strange, but some philosophers and ufologists believe that insects are the perfect life form. They are highly adaptable, resilient, and well-organized. Ants build complex colonies. Bees communicate through dance. Mantises possess lightning-fast reflexes. So why couldn't an advanced civilization evolve from such beings? Perhaps in other worlds, insects, not primates, like on Earth, became the dominant species. Looking into history, one can find images eerily similar to insectoids. In ancient Indian temples, there are drawings of beings with large eyes and tentacles. In Mayan culture, some gods are depicted with faces resembling beetles. Coincidence? Moreover, many artists and writers, with no connection to alien topics, have, in moments of inspiration, created images of strange and unsettling creatures. Some have even said, "I don't know where this came from. Could these be more than fantasies? Perhaps memories, or messages from somewhere else?" There's an entirely different hypothesis. What if insectoids are the result of experiments? Perhaps they are hybrids created under secret programs, and the encounters people report are system glitches, leaks, or contacts that were never meant to happen. Some researchers cite documents describing projects aimed at developing biological forms resistant to space conditions and radiation. Theoretically speaking, an insect-like body could indeed withstand more than the human form. Scientific minds argue that insectoids are nothing more than the product of fear. Our brains fear the unknown and generate images that provoke disgust and anxiety. And what's more terrifying than a large insect with humanoid features? But once again, the question arises, why are there so many similarities? Why do dozens of witnesses describe the same figure, thin limbs, an insect-like face, and a hypnotic stare? On forums and social media, One can find hundreds of anonymous posts from people describing remarkably similar events. Someone saw a figure in the corner of their room. Someone felt they were not alone. Someone woke up filled with anxiety and remembered the stare of enormous black eyes. Some even say their lives changed after encountering these beings. One person quit their job overnight. Another left the city. Someone else began painting strange images or composing unusual music, as if the encounter with an insectoid flipped a mental switch. So, what do we know so far? Beings with insect-like features appear in accounts from people all over the world. Their descriptions are astonishingly consistent. Some scientists believe it's a psychological phenomenon. Others say these are contacts with beings from alternate realities or even future forms of life. And there are those who claim this is just the beginning. We're only starting to grasp what we're dealing with. Let's assume these beings are real. What are they doing here? Studying us? Watching our evolution? Or are they preparing for something greater? We still don't know. But one thing is certain, we are not alone. And among all the strange life forms that may exist, insectoids could be the oldest, the most silent, and possibly the most dangerous. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment. Do you believe insectoids exist? Or is it all just the mind playing tricks? Like this post if you want to see more. In the next episode, we'll talk about attempts to contact insectoids and people who claim they lived among them for weeks.